The Manhattan sidewalk pulsed with the city's relentless rhythm, honking taxis, the chatter of pedestrians, and the faint wail of a distant siren. Reginald Hargrove, a man whose name adorned skyscrapers and charity galas alike, strode through the crowd, his tailored coat flapping in the late autumn wind. At 52, he carried the weight of his wealth like a crown, each step deliberate, his mind already on the board meeting awaiting him. His phone buzzed incessantly, emails, stock updates, a reminder of the hospital visit he'd promised his wife, Evelyn, later that day. Their daughter, Lily, lay in a sterile bed at Mount Sinai, her legs motionless since the accident 2 years ago. The thought tightened his chest, but he pushed it down. Solutions, not emotions, were his currency. He barely noticed the boy at first. Just another shadow in the city's margins, crouched near a subway grate, a cardboard sign propped against a tattered backpack, * hungry. Please help. * The boy's clothes were threadbare, his face smudged with dirt, but his eyes, sharp, unyielding, caught Reginald's glance. Most beggars looked away, ashamed or resigned. This one didn't. He stared back, bold as brass, maybe 12 or 13 years old, his dark skin glistening with sweat despite the chill. "Sir," the boy called, his voice cutting through the urban din, "I can make your daughter walk again." Reginald froze. His polished loafers halted mid-step, and the world seemed to tilt. He turned, slowly, his gray eyes narrowing. "What did you say?" His tone was sharp, a blade honed by years of boardroom battles. The boy didn't flinch. He stood, small but steady, clutching a worn notebook. "Your daughter. Lily. I can help her walk." The mention of her name sent a jolt through Reginald. His first instinct was anger. How dare this street kid, this nobody, know his daughter's name? His second was suspicion. A scam, surely. New York was full of them, and he'd seen every kind. Yet something in the boy's gaze held him, a clarity that didn't belong in a beggar's eyes. "How do you know my daughter?" Reginald demanded, stepping closer. A few passers-by glanced curiously, but the city moved on, indifferent. "I heard about her," the boy said simply. "In the papers. The accident. I've been studying. I know things doctors don't." He tapped the notebook, its pages curled and stained. "I can help her." Reginald's jaw tightened. Lily's accident had been splashed across headlines 2 years ago, a drunk driver, a crosswalk. Her promising ballet career shattered at 16. The best surgeons in the country had tried everything: experimental therapies, nerve stimulation, even a trip to a Swiss clinic. Nothing worked. Evelyn had turned to faith healers and holistic quacks, each one bleeding their hope dry. Now this? A street kid with a notebook? "Get lost," Reginald snapped, turning away. "I don't have time for games." "I'm not playing," the boy said, his voice steady but urgent. He darted forward, blocking Reginald's path. "My name's Isaiah. I've been working on this for years. Not just for her, for others too. I've seen it work." Reginald stared, his impatience warring with a flicker of curiosity. The boy's audacity was almost admirable. "You're telling me you, a kid, have some miracle cure the top neurologists in the world don't?" Isaiah's eyes didn't waver. "Not a cure. A method. I learned it from my grandma before she passed. She was a healer in her village, back in Ghana. It's not medicine like you know it. It's about waking the body up, teaching it to move again. I've done it before. Small things, but they worked." Reginald scoffed, but the boy's words lingered, snagging on a memory of Evelyn's desperate hope, her tears at every failed treatment. He glanced at his watch, 10 minutes until his meeting. He should walk away. But those eyes, that notebook, the sheer absurdity of it all. "5 minutes," he said curtly. "Convince me." Isaiah's face lit up, not with triumph but with purpose. He flipped open the notebook, revealing pages dense with handwritten notes, diagrams of the human body, and strange symbols Reginald didn't recognize. "It's about energy," Isaiah began, his voice steady, almost scholarly. "Your daughter's nerves aren't dead, they're sleeping. My grandma taught me how to wake them, using pressure points, movements, and belief. Not just hers, but yours too." "Belief." Reginald's lip curled. "You sound like a preacher." "Not religion," Isaiah said quickly. "Trust. The body listens when the mind believes it can heal. I've seen it. A woman in Harlem, her hand wouldn't move after a stroke. 3 weeks with me, she could hold a spoon. A man in the Bronx, his foot dragged after an injury. I worked with him, and he walks better now. Not perfect, but better." Reginald wanted to dismiss it superstition, nonsense. But the boy's conviction was disarming, and the notebook, chaotic as it looked, suggested obsessive dedication. You expect me to believe you've cracked paralysis with some village magic? Isaiah shrugged, unfazed. Call it what you want. I know it works. Let me try with Lily. If I'm wrong, you lose nothing. If I'm right, he trailed off, letting the possibility hang. Reginald's mind raced. He was a man of logic, of deals and data. But logic hadn't helped Lily. The doctor's assurances had turned to shrugs, their bills piling higher than his hopes. What harm could it do to let this kid try? Worst case, he'd waste an hour. Best case. No, he wouldn't let himself hope. Not yet. Fine, he said at last. You get one shot. Meet me at Mount Sinai tomorrow, noon. If you're late, or if this is a scam, I'll have you arrested. Understood. Isaiah nodded, his expression solemn. I'll be there. The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and despair. Lily lay propped against pillows, her auburn hair fanned out, her eyes fixed on a tablet streaming some mindless show. At 18, she was still beautiful, but her spark had dimmed, her once vibrant spirit dulled by endless days in bed. Evelyn sat beside her, knitting, her fingers moving mechanically. When Reginald entered with Isaiah, both women looked up, startled. Who's this? Evelyn asked, her voice tight. She'd grown protective, wary of anyone who promised miracles. This is Isaiah, Reginald said, his tone clipped. He thinks he can help? Lily's gaze flicked to the boy, skeptical but curious. Help how? Isaiah stepped forward, clutching his notebook. I'm not a doctor, he said plainly. But I've studied the body, how it moves, how it heals. I think I can help you walk again. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, but I can try. Lily's laugh was bitter. You and every specialist in this city. What makes you different? I don't give up, Isaiah said simply. And I don't need fancy machines. Just you, me, and time. Evelyn's knitting needles stilled. Reginald, what is this? You're letting a child experiment on our daughter. He's not experimenting, Reginald said, though doubt gnawed at him. He's offering something. If it doesn't work, we stop. Lily, it's your call. Lily studied Isaiah, her green eyes searching his face. Something in his earnestness, his lack of pretense, softened her. Okay, she said finally. What I have to lose? Over the next weeks, Isaiah became a fixture in Lily's room. He arrived daily, rain or shine, his backpack slung over one shoulder, his notebook ever present. He didn't promise miracles, only effort. His method was strange, gentle presses on her legs, rhythmic tapping, guided movements she could barely feel. He spoke to her as he worked, not about medicine but about life, her favorite books, her dreams of dancing, the way she used to feel the music in her bones. He told her stories of his grandmother, a woman who'd healed farmers and fishermen with nothing but her hands and her will. At first, Reginald watched like a hawk, ready to pull the plug at the first sign of nonsense. But Isaiah's focus was relentless, his patience endless. He never pushed Lily too hard, never let her frustration win. Evelyn, initially hostile, began to soften too, bringing Isaiah sandwiches, asking about his life. He was vague, born in Ghana, raised in Brooklyn, no family left, living in a shelter. His story was a patchwork of hardship, yet he carried it lightly, his smile quick and genuine. Weeks turned to months. Lily's progress was slow, almost imperceptible. A twitch in her toe one day, a faint sensation in her calf the next. The doctors were skeptical, calling it spontaneous recovery or placebo effect. But Reginald saw the change in Lily's eyes, a spark reigniting, a belief she hadn't dared to feel since the accident. Isaiah's sessions weren't just about her legs, they were about her spirit. He challenged her to visualize walking, to imagine the stage again, to trust her body's quiet strength. One evening, Reginald found Isaiah alone in the hospital cafeteria, scribbling in his notebook. Why are you doing this? He asked, sliding into the seat across from him. You could be out there hustling for yourself, not spending hours with a girl who might never walk. Isaiah looked up, his pen pausing. My grandma said healing isn't just for the sick, it's for the healer too. Helping Lily, it makes me feel like I'm worth something. Like I'm not just some kid on the street. Reginald leaned back, struck by the boy's words. He built an empire on deals, on leveraging people's needs. Yet here was a boy with nothing, giving everything, asking for no reward. Shame crept into Reginald's chest, unfamiliar and sharp. The breakthrough came on a rainy spring morning, 6 months after Isaiah's bold claim on the sidewalk. Lily was in the hospital's therapy room, Isaiah guiding her through exercises while Evelyn and Reginald watched from the doorway. Lily gripped parallel bars, her face set with determination. Isaiah knelt beside her, his voice low and steady. You feel it, don't you? That strength in you. It's there. Let it out. Lily's legs trembled, then steadied. She took a step, small, shaky, but deliberate. Then another. Evelyn gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. Reginald's heart pounded, his vision blurring. Lily was walking. Not gracefully, not far, but walking. The room erupted in tears and laughter. Lily collapsed into Isaiah's arms, sobbing. "You did it." But Isaiah shook his head, smiling. "You did it, Lily. I just showed you how." The news spread quickly. Reporters clamored for interviews, calling Isaiah a miracle worker. Reginald, ever the businessman, saw opportunity, funding for Isaiah's method, a foundation to train others. But Isaiah refused. "This isn't for profit," he said firmly. "It's for people." Reginald pushed, offering scholarships, a home, a future. Isaiah only smiled. "I've got what I need. Just keep believing in her." One day, Isaiah didn't show up. Reginald called the shelter, only to learn he'd moved on, no forwarding address. His notebook was left on Lily's bedside table, a note tucked inside. Asterisk, "Keep walking, Lily. You've got this." Isaiah. Asterisk. Years later, Lily danced again, not on a stage, but at her college graduation, her steps slow but sure. Reginald and Evelyn never forgot the boy who'd changed their lives, a beggar who'd given them riches no money could buy. They searched for him, hoping to repay his kindness, but Isaiah remained a ghost, a fleeting gift from a city that rarely paused to care. And somewhere, in another corner of the world, a boy with a notebook kept healing, one soul at a time, proving that humanity's greatest power lies not in wealth, but in the selfless act of believing in another.